What's up, everybody? It's the Walking Dead TV podcast, episode 40, and it's the first episode for season 2. This is John.
This is Brad.
And we're alone so far.
Jordan's on his way, though, yes?
Yes, Jordan is on his way, and unfortunately, this all happened so close to New York Comic Con that Jim and Russ are still en route to getting home from the con. So unfortunately, they're not going to be us tonight. But we're going to hold down the fort. We got a big show, great first episode. I think everybody's happy. We're going to go over lots of cool stuff. But first, Brad, as always. Oh, no, you know what? That's not going to be first, Brad. First, I would like to say, great new intro for season 2. Anybody that's been listening to the show knows that we switched our opening music and a little voiceover and stuff, and that is thanks to Brad and Bill the Voice from Half Hour Wasted, who does all of our voiceover work. So that sounds awesome, man. So thank you.
You're welcome. That was fun working on that, and I had to bribe Bill to... that's not true. I asked Bill, I said, I want to redo the open. We're going to change the words. I want it to sound just like the previous open. But, Bill takes pride in his work. He likes to experiment and try things, so he gave me a little bit different read than I asked for, but with my skills to pay the bills, I was able to edit it in a way that it basically sounded just like the old open with just some new words. So I was happy to do it, proud of that. I like that whole editing bit and the music and stuff. Good choice of music this year, too, I think.
Yeah, that is Why Oak is the band or the person. I'm not sure if, I guess it's a band. And Civilian is the name of the song. It was featured in most of the season 2 trailers. So
I'm pretty sure it's just one lady. I mean, she may have a band backing her, but I've seen an acoustic version of that song played by the woman and her guitar on YouTube. So I'm pretty sure that's the name of that girl singing.
So I was not lying. Jordan from Jersey has just joined us. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
We just talked a little bit about the new opening, which is fantastic. Before we get to our sponsor, I wanted to say a couple things. First of all, again, I want to congratulate the whole cast here at Walking Dead TV for making it through the very, very long off-season. I don't think we knew what we were getting into when we promised 2 shows a month for the entire off-season, but we did it. We did more than 2 shows a month at some point, so we survived, which is great. I want to thank the listeners that hung in the entire off-season with us, because I know I listen to a bunch of television show podcasts, and I usually check out during the off-season and come back for the following season. So I want to thank everybody that hung around. They made it a lot of fun on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. And
they know a good thing when they hear it.
Yeah, I agree. So we want to welcome back the people that are joining us again. And, of course, we want to welcome any new listeners that we might have. And for the people that didn't hang around and for the new listeners, you might want to go back 3 or 4 shows and catch up. We just put out the New York Comic Con panel that happened 2 days ago that we're going to talk about in a little bit. We had a Michael Rooker interview. We had an Irony Singleton interview. And we talked a little bit about the webisodes and the Netflix and the news very recently. So if you guys want to check back a few shows and get caught up, you'd probably find some good stuff there. So before we do a little New York Comic Con thing, before we get into the episode here, Brad, why don't you tell us about our wonderful sponsor?
All right, and I'll try to get through this as quickly and painlessly as possible. I'm dealing with a rather severe ragweed allergy, according to my doctor, so I may sound a little strained tonight, but I'll do my best here.
Ragweed blues.
Suspiciously white-looking type wound earlier today, so I'm saying he's on fire.
I'm not. I'm fine. I have no fever. You have to take care of the boat, Jordan.
Shoot him in the head.
I'm fine. Jim, when he started going nuts, he was telling Rick, you got to do something with the boat. Remember?
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that.
Okay, so dcbservice.com. They've got the solicits up for December. Yes, okay. But I went ahead and just searched Walking Dead, and it looks like all 14 of the Walking Dead trade paperbacks are available at 40% off. You can get them for $8.99. Let's call it $9. And guess what, guys? They've solicited volume 15, a brand new one. It should be out in a couple of months. I'm looking forward to that. You can get it for $8.99. They've got issues 49, 50, 51, and 52 of The Walking Dead Weekly reprints. And, of course, there's tons of other Walking Dead stuff, hardcovers, omnibuses, all that good stuff. So visit.
Is it Omnibuy? I think it might be Omnibuy.
It is.
Let's call it Omnibuses. It's more fun.
Yeah, I know.
Bill probably pronounced it Omnibuy or something.
Yeah, he would. Omnibuy. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, that's too bad. dcbservice.com. Check them out. They're good to us. And be sure to use that WD8 code when you check out. If this is your first order, you can save another 8%.
Yeah, and for new people that are new to the comics and just checking out the show, just checking out us, and you think maybe you want to read the comics, this is the way to go. I mean, don't walk into Borders. You can't walk into a Borders anymore, I guess. Don't walk into Barnes & Noble and pay cover price for these books.
You can, but it'll hurt.
Yeah, the door will be closed. Check out dcbservice.com, and it'll save you a boatload. So, I can't get, I know we have a lot of stuff. We have the premiere of season 2 that we need to get into, but I can't not talk about New York Comic Con for a little bit. I was there. Jim.
I mentioned that all 4 of you guys suck.
Yes, you have mentioned that. All of us 4 suck. Jordan, Jim, Russ, and myself were able to be at the con. Bradley, unfortunately, you were not able to be at the con, but next time, hopefully. Huge Walking Dead presence again. Robert Kirkman, at the Image booth, signing autographs and stuff.
I actually had a chance to talk with him for a couple minutes. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, he was very nice to me too. I was just kind of on a line of autograph seekers, but I asked him to pose while he was signing the book, telling him that may end up going to a listener, and he said, "Oh, good luck with the podcast." And he chats for a few seconds and stuff. And he's very cordial and cool. So that's all I've ever heard of anyone that's ever been able to talk to him. So very cool there.
Jordan tweeted, "I just ran into Robert Kirkman," and I responded, "Did it hurt?" He said, "Only when we had to say goodbye."
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was one of the few times I actually had service inside the Javits Center.
Oh my God, that Javits Center is like a concrete bunker.
Yeah, I heard a lot of complaints about the internet access there.
I don't get it. I mean, with the social media and all these bloggers and people trying to cover stuff, and that's what you're there for. There's no service in the building. But that's another story. Very cool Walking Dead panel again on Saturday night. We have the audio up now. It was last show, episode 39. The video is going to be up real soon. We have tons of pictures coming up real soon. For anybody who's been listening to the show for a while, last year I had to sit through M. Night Shyamalan's panel to get a good seat for the Walking Dead panel. This year, it was, of course, even bigger and crazier. And even though we had some cool press access to get a good seat, we really had to try hard. So I sat through the Nikita panel, which wasn't bad, thanks to Maggie Q, followed by the Ghost Rider panel, which had a lot of great surprises in it, I might add, just to be up real close for the Walking Dead panel. And it came, it was worth it. We got real good seats. We got to hang out for the panel. We got to have great video and audio as well. And I guess I'll leave the New York Comic Con thing with this. I have 2 major prizes, I would say. And, well, maybe one's major and one's a pretty good prize. One of them you can't get for a while, and the other I don't think you can ever get. So I was very lucky to get it. So pay attention to the Twitter, the Facebook groups, and stuff like that. I think we may give one of them away tonight or tell you how you can get it.
But I know he's talking about it's pretty amazing, so you're definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, I'm going to make him join the Facebook group, I think, to get a look at it, because I posted a picture there. So if you search Walking Dead TV podcast on Facebook, join the group, and you will get a look at some swag that will one day, hopefully, unless I decide to just keep the freaking thing.
Since you brought up the Facebook group, can I just say something I've been debating on whether to even bring it up, but And you guys know me. I don't like to be the bad guy, but I think I need to be the bad guy right now. We use the Facebook group, obviously as a way to communicate with our listeners and stuff, but we also feel like we want it to reflect how we run our show. And what I'm getting at is that we don't put spoilers on that page, and we ask that the listeners don't put spoilers on that page. John was quick on the draw one day and deleted a post that was just laden with spoilers. And I can mention names, but I won't. The guy knows who he is, and we deleted his post. I just please respect the other people that visit the group and don't post spoilers, especially related to the comic book and how it compares to the show. I just think that's important. And if you don't understand that, then that's fine. You don't have to visit the Facebook group. Look. I will. I will figure out how to ban you from the Facebook group if you do that.
He will call Al Gore right now and turn this car around.
So just don't be a jerk and do that kind of thing.
And the Facebook group's cool. I mean, I didn't want it to be a closed group where nobody can post anything except the people that run it and stuff. I mean, there's a cool back and forth there, and we just don't want to ruin the experience for anybody. And again, if it's your first time here, that's how we run our show. Basically, we're going to talk all about the episode that just happened. We're not going to talk about anything that we know may happen from having comic book knowledge. If something that happened in the show happened in the comic, we'll certainly compare those two events. But we're not going to spoil anything by talking about the book or revealing any spoilers that we may have gotten any other way. So
posted on the book that they had as spoilers or an email that they could send the spoiler or a theory. I beg your pardon, a spoiler laden theory. I think is what they said. I said yes, send it to comments at WalkingDeadTV.com, and he did. And we're going to read that email of sorts tonight. If there's a way to get that out of your system, just send us an email. Don't spoil it for others, please. Thank you.
Hey, one more thing on your Comic Con. If you go back and listen to that Comic Con audio episode, you might just hear the sultry tones of a familiar voice asking the cast a question.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Did you get to ask the question?
Dude, they plopped the mic right next to me, and when they were like, "All right, we're gonna go to questions," my leg just reactively stood up, and now I'm like, I gotta think of something quick.
Were you the first one to ask questions?
They went to the other side first, didn't they, Jordan?
Yeah, I think so.
So I was second. I was first on our line, but second.
Awesome. I started listening to the panel, but I never made it to the questions because I got distracted with something shiny, I guess. But that's cool. I'll have to go back and listen.
It was a good time, and I don't want to reveal the other cool thing that I got yet. But when that time comes, we'll have a cool story about that. The cast was just awesome. Let's just put it that way. When the panel was over, they had to throw them out. Basically, they were signing and talking and posing for pictures for a real long period of time. So it was a very good experience.
Speaking of panel and spoilers, and even having said everything that I just said about spoilers and stuff, there's a specific spoiler that we as a podcast have been dancing around for the last year. In that panel audio that you guys just mentioned, Robert Kirkman just reveals it. He lays it out there. So keep in mind that if you do listen to that panel, he will spoil something that we've gone to great pains to not spoil. And now, having said this out loud, this begs the question: since he said it, is it okay for us to talk about it now? I don't know the answer to that question.
Again, this is it because we have to get to the show. But it's not what happened; it's how it happens. That's the bigger spoiler, in my opinion.
And I don't think he reveals that.
No, he does not.
He does not. Yeah, you're right. How it happens is more important. Okay, and I'll shut up now.
Jordan, take us through episode 1 of season 2. And the reason I said it that way is because I don't know what it was called.
Episode 201 is titled "What Lies Ahead," which is also the title of the second trade paperback of The Walking Dead, collecting issues, I believe it was 7 through 12. So, fun fact.
Sweet.
We pick up pretty much directly after the season 1 finale ends for a few seconds, and then we jump forward. I think they say a day and a half at one point. But the whole crew is on the road. They're getting the heck out of Atlanta. Before they do, Rick sits down with his walkie-talkie and has a heart-to-heart with no one. And he's talking to Morgan Jones, but we don't have any indication that he actually heard him. Just kind of laying out what he's going through and where they hope to go. They say they're going to Fort Benning. And so they get on the road and head there, but they're quickly interrupted by car trouble.
Time out.
Yeah, time out. Can I just say something?
I'm going to probably...
I think
sure.
that was the same thing, whichever you guys say.
It's a funny thing because we've been waiting for this night for so long. And then, the Twitter buzz started. Everybody's getting excited. And the show begins. And he goes into the monologue on the walkie-talkie. And my first thought was, I think I just hated that. And as, a fan, you're not sure. Did I hate that? It was just not... I don't know. It was clunky. And he changed his accent. I think it sounded more Georgia. I'm not sure exactly, but I didn't love it.
This episode was co-written by Robert Kirkman and a pseudonym of Frank Darabont. I can't remember the name that it's given, but yes, thank you. I'm wondering who wrote that speech because that monologue has got to be one of the most poorly written things I've ever heard on television. And what literally killed it for me was at the end when he goes, "Rick, signing off." I just about threw my remote at the television. That was pretty bad.
Well, I mean, it was exactly what I was worried about. We saw some snippets of that part in the trailers for season 2. We saw a little bit of it in season 1 where he's talking to the walkie-talkie. I didn't love it, but at least it was over. And then I say, hey, they're going to be doing this again. Wonderful. And besides the fact that the writing wasn't great, the ADR was terrible. You could tell that they redubbed in almost everything he said back onto that scene, and not well. I mean, granted, I love pretty much everything else about the episode, but this was not a really good way to begin it.
And our buddy Frank pointed this out specifically. He had problems with the scene also, but he said some of the effects, the green screen stuff with Rick on the wide shots was pretty bad. From a production standpoint, it was pretty noticeable to my eye. But we get the crap out of the way in a minute and a half at the most.
Yeah, and they never came back to it, which was nice. So, like I said, they went out onto the highway and they quickly hit car trouble. First, they find just abandoned cars all over the road, kind of like the highway in Zombieland or any other number of zombie films where there's almost no way to get through. Daryl's scouting ahead of the group on his motorcycle, but he can't. At first, he can find a way through, but then they kind of stall out, and the hose on the RV finally goes bad, and they have to stop. Now, before this, I believe Shane is the one who's talking about leaving. He's kind of having an internal monologue, talking to somebody. He says he's probably going to leave after this.
I think he was talking to Lori.
But I know he got to Lori later, but I want to say he had something before that. But regardless, yeah, so they all get out, they start scavenging for food and for clothes and for parts. At first they say, where are we going to find a radiator hose? And then look around them and they figure, well, it might actually not be that difficult. So they go scouting. Shane finds a truck full of water, so that was awesome. They find all kinds of things, food and clothes. Carl finds a whole thing of Gerber knives. There's a lot of product placement there, but it didn't really bother me.
That was a cool scene.
That was a very cool scene.
Yeah, I was pretty sure.
I gotta wake up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because looking at his arm when he's sitting there, I could tell it wasn't a mannequin arm; it was a real human arm. And so I was waiting for any second for it to turn out that it was a person who jumped up. But I like that they kind of played with those expectations. So they're all out looking for this stuff, and then who spots them first? Is it Dale by a split second?
Yeah, I think Dale on. No, I'm sorry. I think it's Rick, correct? And then they show Dale with the binoculars after Rick kind of spots them.
Yeah. So first they spot one zombie, and Rick's got his rifle up to his eye with the scope. And he's about to take it out, and then he sees there's another zombie, another one, and they pan back and you can see there's probably 50 zombies in that first shot, and then they pull back even farther. There's probably good 75 of them in the area.
Let me ask you about the logistics here. If memory serves, these zombies came from the direction in which they were driving, not the direction they came from, but they were basically walking towards the front.
I believe you are correct.
Okay, so okay, that makes sense to me because if they had passed them, they would have seen him, or maybe they came out of the woods or whatever.
Right.
Then okay, there's a wide shot where the camera trucks up, it lifts up to reveal the herd as they are referred to later, which is an awesome nod to the comic books. Thank you, Robert Kirkman. There's a whole conversation about them being called herds in the comic that made its way into this episode.
Can I cut you off for 1 second? After I asked my question, I was so teetering. You have to be very careful with these cons. You'll get booed. And I wanted to tell Gail Ann that I was starting a fan club called Gail Ann's Herd, but I didn't know how. So I'm saying it now.
Awesome.
I thought it was funny.
Enough people wouldn't have gotten it that you might have gotten it.
Yeah.
Dude, you need to put that up on Twitter tonight.
I did it during the show. As soon as they mentioned herd, I tweeted Gail Ann's Herd, and then I sent it to her. Yeah, I did, but nobody follows me.
I think what I'm trying to get at with that wide shot is when the camera goes up, you can see the road. There's plenty of road for this herd. Are they walking down? Why did it take Dale so long for him to notice it? I guess is what I'm trying to get at. There weren't enough cars to hide them.
Was there a dip in the road, like a good-sized hill that they could have been in the valley of?
Well, I'm pretty sure that the road was not a hill. In fact, it was the valley. There was too much of a hill. The road went up, not down, not like over the horizon, but it went up. You know what I mean? Like a rocking horse.
Kind of.
Well, maybe I'm thinking too much about it. Forget that.
I just kind of thought maybe they came out of maybe they weren't going down the road. Maybe they came out of the woods on the side or
That works for me.
something. Sure.
So Rick immediately signals to Lori, Carl, and everybody else in the area to hide under cars, where Dale actually lays down on the roof of the RV. But already, Shane was there too. So it was Daryl and T-Dog who were off. T-Dog was siphoning gasoline out of cars, and Daryl was looking for something. I forget exactly what. But T-Dog, when he finally sees the zombies, it takes him a little bit longer than everybody else. He ducks down behind a car and immediately slits his arm open right to an artery and starts splurting blood everywhere.
That was gnarly.
It was really gross. Especially, I'd say the second or third time we went back to it, where it was just leaving a trail on the ground. That was a lot of blood.
You can tell he was getting dizzy and stuff. I thought that was a nice touch.
Right. So while all this is going on, Andrea is sitting inside the RV, no idea any of this is going on. She had a short conversation with Shane about her pistol and how her father had given it to her, and he said he would offer to show her how to disassemble it and reassemble it, because it's a good thing to know how to do, especially in this situation. So she's sitting there by herself now, because Shane went out to look for things, with a disassembled handgun, and she catches it, just a glimpse out of her left eye. She catches all these zombies walking by, and she has a minor panic attack, and ducks back onto the floor and grabbing the gun, and she jumps into the bathroom right before one of the best looking zombies the show has ever done steps onto the RV.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was an awesome looking zombie.
Now, this scene, Brad, John, Russ, Jim, and I, we saw on, what was that, a 40, 50 foot screen?
Yeah.
I mean, this was the scene they showed at Comic-Con, and his zombie makeup held up even under that scrutiny. It looked gorgeous. I mean, it looked terrible, but it looked gorgeously terrible.
Right. Hats off to Nick Turner.
And I have to say also that we saw the T-Dog cutting his arm open, and I think has that been shown? That's been shown in the trailer, right? Right. So I think my point with that, Brad, is like at that point we knew it was coming. We've seen it on a big screen. We've seen it in the trailer. People were still screaming at the con when that happened, and it still was so. Before this first commercial break, I felt like I had seen like 80% of what we were shown, and it was still awesome.
Definitely. So this incredible looking zombie comes onto the RV. His teeth are just showing. His lips are all pulled back. He looks like the perfect representation of a Charlie Adler zombie. Charlie Adler Kramer knows the illustrator of Walking Dead. It just looks exactly great. He comes on the RV. He's kind of looking around, poking around, doesn't see anything, so he starts to leave. And the whole time Andrea's in the bathroom trying to reassemble this pistol, and she drops a spring or something, and it makes kind of a loud clanging noise. The zombie turns around, starts banging on the door, and she starts freaking out. We then cut back, and there's a whole bunch of cuts during this, everybody under cars, everything, but we cut back to T-Dog, who is, at this point, I think he falls down on the ground. He's practically unconscious, and some really good acting on his part to really show how the blood loss is affecting him. But he falls down on the ground, and a zombie in overalls comes around the corner and spots him. And it's only stopped when Daryl, or as my brother would say, Girl, jumps out with a screwdriver and stabs him right up the base of the neck into the brain, killing that zombie. But there's more zombies coming, so Daryl actually drops that zombie on top of T-Dog, and then he pulls another zombie out of a car and hides under it until the herd goes by. Cut back to Andrea in the car, and right after we see this first screwdriver kill, Dale hears her screaming in the bathroom, and he's on top of the RV, so he's got a screwdriver with him for when they're looking at the radiator hose. He rips open the screen, drops the screwdriver down to her, and she gets her first non-familial zombie kill. The first one she killed was Amy, but the first one she's not related to zombie kill straight through the eye. And I think the version we saw at Comic-Con either ended a little early or was trimmed down, John.
Yeah.
I don't remember those sequence hits.
Yeah, we didn't get all the subsequent stabs after the first one. You're right.
Yeah, and they were some brutal hits. So she takes out that zombie, and at this point, everybody else is lying under the cars. The zombies are just about past. They think they're in the clear. It's been super tense this whole time. And I guess Sophia starts to edge her way out towards, out from under the vehicle when a zombie spots her and jumps into the car, and she starts screaming, trying to get away. So she gets chased into the woods by these two zombies, because another one quickly follows. Rick is fast in pursuit, and this is where we get that scene from, I think it was the first sneak peek of season 2 that played during like episode 2 or 3 of the season's Breaking Bad.
Yeah, where he's in the woods.
Yeah, and I remember we could not figure out, we scanned that thing, trying to figure out the context. Why is he soaking wet? Why is he using a rock when he's got a gun at his side? I think it all made sense in context, though, now. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, again, this was another one of those scenes that I had seen it already, but it was just awesome. Yeah, I mean, everything worked really well.
Right. So he kind of works his way around the zombies. Sophia's got a little bit ahead of them. He catches up with her before they do. They run through a creek, which explains why he's soaking wet, and he hides her under the, I guess it was reeds or roots from a tree that are kind of right at the water level. She hides there, and he draws the zombies away, and that's where we get the scene where he smashes two zombies' heads in with a pretty big rock. And before he does this, he tells her, if I don't come back, you need to run back to the group, keep the sun on your left shoulder, and that'll get you there. So he draws the zombies away, and about 15 seconds later, she immediately bolts for the group. So he comes back to find her, she's not there, and turns out she never gets back to the group.
I want to backtrack just for 1 second. I'm kind of as you're talking, I'm zipping through the tweets a little bit, and I can't find the tweet that I'm looking for, but somebody wasn't happy about how the zombies were acting.
These are not the tweets you're looking for.
Yes. I believe they were talking about like the zombie coming on the RV and then the zombie crawling under the cars. I mean, I think there's precedent for it. I mean, in the first season, I guess it was, why can I never remember the neighbor's name? Morgan. I guess it was Morgan's wife that came up to the door and kind of shook the doorknob. We're like, we've never seen a zombie shake a doorknob before. But there seems to be precedent that they kind of still have a clue. They're not completely mindless zombies. And we're going to get the church scene later, which we'll talk about then.
Well, we also saw Amy when she started to come back. She appeared to, recognize Andrea at least a little bit. So I think that that's more of that precedent you're talking about.
Yeah, don't they climb a ladder? I'm sorry, Jordan. Start over.
Go ahead.
I think they climb a ladder too in season 1. Don't they? Is there a scene where they start? Yeah.
Climb like 2 runs up. But I mean, the precedent goes back even farther than The Walking Dead. I mean, as soon as people started complaining about zombies using rocks to break windows and zombies running, I pointed them back to the first zombie you see in Night of the Living Dead that runs and then breaks a car window with a rocket flying on the ground. So to the character of Barbara. There's a Harry Krishna zombie in the original Dawn of the Dead that uses a doorknob and all these other things. I mean, the zombies in those classic zombie movies aren't as dumb as people remember them being. They're dumb, but they're not that dumb. So I mean, it works for me. It does not bother me. So Rick gets back. So after Rick can't find her, he gets back to the camp. They call for the search for the night. And Carol's understandably upset that her daughter is missing. She blames Rick because he had her. Why did he leave her? Why didn't he just fight the zombies with her there? And he takes it pretty hard. But the next day they go out to find Sophia and they do this whole search party thing. And they're in the woods. They're looking at a trail. This is where Daryl is really showing off his tracking skills and even better than Rick's or anybody else's. And they find her trail, but then all of a sudden, she was following Rick's direction. She was keeping the sun on her left shoulder. She was heading in the right direction. All of a sudden, she veers off in a different direction. They can't figure out why. So they head into the woods. They eventually lose her trail altogether, pretty much. But then they hear a church bells, and they go running across the cemetery to get inside this church. It's I don't remember exactly which denomination church it was, but a small little country church had a sign up that said "Bikers Welcome." And they run inside, and there are 3 churchgoers sitting in the pews. But then they turn around and realize they're not churchgoers, or at least not anymore. They're just 3 of the undead who are returning to their former lives and just sitting there. This is when they pull out the Gerber knives, and everybody goes a little bit haywire on the zombies, kills them all. And John, I think you have something you want to say about the church scene, right?
No, just it falls in line with what we had said. I mean, obviously they can remember their past lives, and maybe church was a big part of it, or I don't know. One of them looked like she was a bride, or didn't one of them have a veil?
Southern Baptist church hat.
Oh, okay, all right.
Something like that.
Yeah, so it kind of fit. The one thing I wanted to go back to was Daryl doing the tracking. I think it was at that point where I really said, wow, Daryl Dixon is a star on this show now. He had the big save earlier, and pulling the bodies on top of him and T-Dog to hide themselves, and now he's doing all the tracking for Sophia and everything. And it was just kind of jarring. Not that I had a feeling he was going to be a main player on the show, obviously, but at this point he was almost like even with Rick. I mean, like you said, he definitely tracks better than Rick. We found out, and Rick's already getting doubted, which that's a big part of the early comic. I shouldn't say the early comic because the situation changes, but Rick always struggles with being the leader, and so that's good that that's coming through.
I really liked the development of Daryl Dixon in this. It was almost like, I don't want to sound weird or anything. It was almost like it was a fresh flower blooming into really what is what he's going to be. And he really didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to show off his skills last season because he was constantly running. But this episode just really showcased who he is, and I'm really excited to see more of him. I was thinking, well, now I understand what all those Dixons are talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet I know some other people that are really excited about it too.
One nice thing, you brought up Rick's accent, or somebody brought up Rick's accent before, I think it might have been Brad, but I think it's kind of noticeable that they've lightened up on Daryl's accent a bit, at least in this pilot, or not the pilot, this season premiere, and I hear from some different reviewers that have seen the second episode that it's even less going on the rest of the season. I think I was kind of happy with that. A lot of people had problems with him as more of a caricature of a southern redneck. I think this helps to lessen that impression and make him seem like the really kind of street smart guy that he really is.
Well, if you think about it, last season he was always angry, and I don't know about you, but when my accent changes, the way I speak, the way I form words changes with my moods. If I'm tired, my southern accent comes out a little bit. I get kind of lazy. It might come out a little bit like this.
That makes a lot of sense.
So and when you're angry, you speak differently. You emphasize words a different way, or you speak with pizzazz. You know what I'm saying? So I really think, and maybe he was doing it on purpose. Maybe it was just natural for Norman Reedus.
This talk of Daryl makes me realize that we forgot a scene. We forgot the autopsy scene.
We forgot?
Oh my God.
No one reminded me. Thank you very much.
That was the gnarliest thing I've ever seen on television.
Yeah, so the day before the whole group goes out, Rick gets Daryl to help him because, like we said, Daryl's the best tracker. And so they go looking out in the area that Sophia was, and they don't find her, but they do find kind of Jesus-looking zombie. They take him down, or Daryl takes him down with an arrow to the back of the head, and then they decide the only way they're going to be able to figure out if this zombie who's clearly recently eaten will actually took down Sophia or whether it was something else is to do a Jaws-style belly check. So Daryl guts him, head to sternum, they rip him open, and the sound alone was just gross. They don't actually show a lot of the cutting, but you can hear every slice.
I thought Andrew Lincoln did a really good job reacting.